Y'all sure you want to know a little bit more about me? Me? Hello beautiful people of the internet, welcome back to my channel. My name is Hannah if you're new here, and I'm so excited that you joined me today. For today's video, we're going to be doing a very laid back, calm video that really is not structured in any way, shape, or fashion. We're going to be doing a Q&A for 1K because I don't know if you've noticed, but I just recently hit 1,000 subscribers. Oh my gosh, that is completely and utterly insane to me because I just remember starting my first video, like hitting record on the camera and just kind of wishing for the best, and then going each milestone at 50, 100, 200, 450, like just hitting all sorts of milestones. To think I'm almost at 1,300 subscribers is absolutely crazy that somebody would care enough about what I have to say to keep coming back. You guys are the absolute best, and I love you so much, and I thank you for being here and supporting me. Basically what this video is going to be is, here in the very beginning, I'm just going to kind of run through some things about me that maybe I don't share a lot, or maybe you don't know right offhand, and then we're going to go into the questions that you guys asked. So I ask on multiple different places for you to ask questions, anything that you're curious about, and I ask you on Instagram, Discord, and the YouTube community tab. So I did get quite a few questions, and without further ado, let's go ahead and dive in. Well, hello there! My name is Hannah, and I'm from the Teachers TBR on Instagram and on YouTube. I'm sure you already knew that because you're watching me right now, but just in case you didn't. I am 25 years old. I've been married for 4 years to my wonderful husband, and his name is Casey. I have 2 dogs, one named Pug, and I'm sure you'll never guess the breed of that dog. And the second one is named Nugget, and we just recently bought Nugget about a year or so ago. I live in East Tennessee, and I am a first grade teacher. I have been teaching for 4 years now. This is my 4th year teaching, and I have taught first grade for 3 years and second grade for 1 year. I am a Christian. I do follow the missionary Baptist lifestyle and values. I do believe in the Bible, and I do believe in God the Father, Jesus, and the Holy Spirit. I do believe in eternal salvation. That is the most important thing about me, is my walk and my salvation in Christ, because in simple terms, without him, I'm nothing. And last but not least, I have a twin brother. No, I don't believe we look alike, and yes, we act pretty similarly. Okay, so those are just a few fun little quick facts about me that you may or may not know, and I just thought it would be fun to kind of throw those in there just in case you were curious. Let's go ahead and get into the questions that you guys asked. First question, what are your top 5 favorite books of all time? And I'm sure that if you've been hanging around my channel for a minute, then you probably know at least 2 or 3 of them. Number 1, Anne of Green Gables by L.M. Montgomery. This was actually the book that got me back into reading. That is also a fun fact, is I have not always been a reader. I actually hated it as a child, and I didn't get back into reading until about 4 or 5 years ago when I was in college. I had a professor that really loved to read, and she would talk to us all the time about books, and it just got me really intrigued, and I picked this one up based on her recommendation and have not looked back since. Number 2 is something that's going to shock everybody that's watching. Ignite Me by Tara Mafi. Did it shock you? Raise your hand if it shocked you. Number 3, Where the Crawdads Sing by Delia Owens. I will die on this hill that this is a fantastic book. I think the adaptation is so good, but the book is 10 times better. Number 4, The Giver of Stars by Jojo Moyes. I read this one a couple of years ago and absolutely adored it. And last but not least, number 5 is Lovely War by Julia Barry. I have recommended this book until my face is blue, and I want my friends and everybody watching to at least read this once. Okay, I love this question. It says, what are some of your favorite things in general, not just bookish? My favorite color is yellow. My favorite place to go is the beach. I love Scooby-Doo. My favorite candy is Reese Cups. My favorite flower is peonies. And then lastly, you guys may not know this about me, but I absolutely love a good antique. One of my favorite things to do is yard sale or thrift shop, but here's the deal. I'm not talking about the frou-frou antiques, like where you go in there and like you're afraid to touch anything because you're afraid to break anything. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about like your grandfather's basement or your grandfather's old woodshed. Like, I'm gonna go find a treasure out there because there is something wooden, there's something chippy, and I'm sure there's something that I need technics for. Next question. Was there something specific that made you want to become a teacher? And for this question, I don't have anything like specific because there wasn't a specific moment where I wanted to become a teacher or a specific memory or something like that. To me, I have always wanted to be a teacher because growing up, I had some of the best teachers and I still think about them from time to time. And I'm not just talking about elementary school teachers, like I'm talking about from high school, from college. I just told you that story about my college professor. And it's so cool to me that there is a role in this world that you could actually be that to someone, be that inspiration. And honestly, that's my why. That's why I keep going despite the hardship. So no, there was not a specific moment. I've just always wanted to be one. Okay, I absolutely adore this question and it's from my friend Jeannie and she is so funny. She asked, if raindrops weren't a thing, what would you want to fall from the sky? You know what I would want to fall from the sky? And it's very random. It's two very random things, okay? Lifesaver gummies. I love Lifesaver gummies with an unhealthy passion. And number two, bubbles. Wouldn't that make you just so happy? Oh, I love this next question too. My favorite Bible verse. And I went back and forth for a lot of years on what my favorite Bible verse would be. Because guys, if you've never read the Bible, there is so much goodness and so much just food for the soul in there. And I think that I just recently discovered my favorite Bible verse like a couple months ago. So it was actually in Sunday school. My husband is the superintendent and before we start Sunday school, he reads a passage out of the Bible. On that specific day, he decided to read out of John 15. And if you've ever read John 15, you already know what I'm going to talk about. And I just remember, like, this wasn't even part of the Sunday school lesson, but I just remember sitting there well after he got finished reading that. And I was bawling my eyes out. Like I spent the entire Sunday school class just sitting there bawling my eyes out because of this one verse. And that is John 15:15. And this is the King James Version. And it says, henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth. But I have called you friends. For all things that I have heard of my Father, I have made known unto you. Just let that sink in for a second. Jesus Christ calls you a friend. He calls me a friend. And staying in the same vein of that question, my favorite hymn. And I have two for this question. My favorite hymns are Come Thou Fount of Every Blessing and In Christ Alone. Next question is my favorite comfort food. And I went back and forth on this because I have a lot of foods that I feel like are comfort foods. But when I'm having a bad day, y'all, when I am having one of those days, one of those weeks that I just need a good comfort meal, you know what I go towards? I drive my little car on down to Chipotle and I get myself a chicken bowl with all the fixins, and I mean all the veggies, okay? And I get extra sour cream. Now, it may not be the most unhealthy thing because I guess that is what we think of when we say comfort food. That is where I find comfort. In Chipotle's lettuce is where I find comfort, and Jesus. Okay, so there were quite a few questions about my favorite childhood book or a childhood book that inspired me or favorite book as a child, and I'm just gonna kind of mix them all together. So the first question was my favorite childhood book. And like I said, I didn't really read a lot as a kid. I really didn't like read for pleasure as a kid. I really didn't. But these were books that were read to me that have impacted me as an elementary school teacher now. Number one, Charlotte's Web. This is a classic, guys. If you've never read Charlotte's Web, or if you've never read Charlotte's Web to your kids, highly recommend you do that. Because of Winn-Dixie, same thing. I actually just watched this movie with a bunch of the summer school kids that we had, and it made me cry all over again. Boxcar Children, Magic Tree House, Junie B. Jones. You literally can't go wrong with any of those. Staying in that same vein is my favorite children's book, and I did share a bunch of the best read alouds that I have personally loved in a recent video, but a couple I mentioned in that video that I absolutely adore is Thundercake by Patricia Polacco. Anything by Patricia Polacco I feel like you can't go wrong with. She is an amazing children's author. This one's about a little girl that bonds with her grandmother over the fact that she is scared of a thunderstorm, and to overcome her fear, her grandmother helps her make Thundercake. And The Invisible Boy by Trudy Ledwig. This is a recent find for me, and I absolutely adore this cute little children's book. I think every child should eventually read this one. Still talking about children's books for just a second, someone asked my favorite read aloud book that I read to my kids. And that would have to be Pig the Pug, The Pigeon Books by Mo Willems, and Elephant Piggy by Mo Willems. Okay, this is another good question that I really like, and it says, how did you discover BookTube? And this is a really good question because I did not discover BookTube. I did it really by accident because I discovered YouTube when I was in high school. I really started getting into YouTube, but I was watching makeup videos. I feel like we've all had that kind of era in our life where we just adored and loved makeup as a girl. And when I got into college and when I started listening to my professor talk about books, I just kind of transitioned from watching makeup videos to watching book videos. Oh, that's a good one. How has being part of the BookTube community impacted your reading habits? Influence, influence, influence. Guys, the influence is real, and I know that you can feel it and I can feel it because we are so caught up in watching other people read and recommend books that I'm like, okay, well, so-and-so talked about this book, so I have to go get it right this second. And I'm not even gonna lie, that was my attitude when I first started BookTube. I was literally going to the bookstore and finding all the books that everybody was talking about, and I quickly found out that that is not the way to go. So I have calmed down just a little bit, but the influence is still very real because it makes me want to pick up everything and all these books that I normally wouldn't, because I'm so influenced by everybody else, which is not really necessarily a bad thing. I think we can really learn a lot from everybody else, only if you know how to control it. And this goes into kind of a question that I'll get into later, but I do think that being part of the BookTube community and being a booktuber actually puts a little bit more pressure on your reading habits. I know a lot of people who do BookTube tend to say that it doesn't, but it does. Is that pressure good? I think it can be sometimes because it can get you more into reading things that you normally wouldn't, but at the same time, it can be a bad thing if you just got to know how to control it. Next question is, what is a book you think everyone should read once? Anne of Green Gables. Okay, next question is quirky reading habits. Do you have any? And yes, I do. I have multiple, but I'm only going to share one with you. So, a lot of my friends make fun of me for this, but it's just how I am. So, let's say that you have a very nice new paperback, okay? And the spine is in pristine condition. This girl right here, you will never catch me dead breaking a spine of a book. I will literally read my book like this. I will quite literally do that. Don't you question me. I will. How many times have I read a book like this? There's too many to count. This question, if you had to grab 3 books from a burning building, what would they be? I don't want to think about this. But here's what they would be. I would grab this book right here. My husband made this for me. If you missed the video where I talked about it, my husband actually bound this book for me, and it's his version of Ignite Me, which is literally my favorite book of all time. So, I mean, I would obviously grab this one right here. This means more to me than any book on this shelf. I would also try and grab my Only One Left by Riley Sager copy, because I did get that one personalized because I did go 8 hours and see him in Pennsylvania and actually got it signed personally. Even though, I'm gonna be honest, in this top shelf, I am not sure where it's at. So I will probably die in the process of trying to find it. And I'm gonna kind of cheat. And for the third one, I'm gonna grab 2. Does that make sense? I gotta grab the most beautiful books on my shelf. Okay? I gotta grab these. We gotta save fable. There's no question about it. Okay, so my friend Caitlin actually asked one of the best questions that I've ever heard of, and it's, what phrase do you say most often? So often that it would be on your tombstone. And I am sure that if you have been hanging out with me for a little bit, I do repeat phrases quite a bit, okay? And I'm sure you could probably guess a few. Probably the one that would be on my tombstone would be, I'm so excited. I do say that a lot. I tend to get excited over many things. Some things which most people don't get excited about. But I do get excited quite frequently. And I do think that that fits with a tombstone because I am excited to walk on the streets of glory. Okay, this was part of the question that I had talked about earlier, and it's, what do you love/hate about YouTube? And let's start with what I love about YouTube. I absolutely love the community and the welcomeness and the inviting and the love and the kindness that I have personally received from joining YouTube. I have made some of the best friendships that I will ever make here on this platform. However, I do dislike some things about YouTube as well. I do think that it is stressful, and a lot of it can be self-inflicted because, especially, you guys know me, like I'm trying to do a lot of different things, and I try and sign up for a lot of different things, like this is gonna happen, this is gonna happen, and if I do not get to a deadline, or if I make plans for something and then don't end up doing it, then I beat myself up over it. So it's mostly self-inflicted stress because I'm not big enough to be doing brand deals or anything like that, so I don't have a set schedule, but I do have this schedule in my brain and have this schedule that I would like to follow that is self-inflicted, and if I don't follow that, I get kind of stressed. Another thing is boundaries. I do have a hard time setting boundaries when it comes to YouTube because I would be editing a video at 10, 11, 12 at night, and I just don't need to be doing that. I have gotten a little bit better at it, but that is definitely something that I need to work on. Another question is, are we going to be seeing any back to school content from me? And my answer to that is only if I'm doing a vlog. I'm going to be honest with y'all, I am trying to stay in summer mode as long as physically possible. So if I do end up vlogging one week and I go to my classroom, then I will definitely show you that. But as far as like doing a dedicated back to school thing, probably not. Next question is most anticipated book for the next half of the year, and I've got two for this one. My most anticipated one is What Have You Done? And that is by Sherry Lapina, and the second one is actually one I just discovered, and it's coming out in August, and it's by Priscilla Schreier, and it's called I Surrender All. Next question is my favorite summertime treat or food, and that would have to be funnel cakes because I absolutely adore like going to festivals or county fairs where they have funnel cakes, especially if it has powdered sugar, whipped cream, and cherries on top. And I also love me a good frozen lemonade in the summer. Next question is favorite summer activity. And guys, let me tell you, the one thing that I look forward to the most during summer vacation is going outside and laying and reading in my hammock. My hammock is truly my happy place. I absolutely love it. Next question is some of my favorite hobbies, and obviously my favorite hobby is to read, but I also really love to cook and I love to bake. I love to cook from scratch. It's definitely something that I'm not an expert at, like I've not even begun to dip my toes in it, but I absolutely love cooking and making things from scratch. One of my favorite things to make from scratch is soft pretzels. That is my husband's request every single birthday. He's like, will you please just make me some pretzels and I'll be happy. So yeah, I'm still trying to like delve into some more recipes, but I do love to make a good meal. Last question is what is next for Comfy Cozy? And I can't really tell you because I really don't want to go into detail. I kind of want to keep a lot of things a surprise. I've really only told you July and August, but I haven't really told you about the rest of the year. So I'll give you hints, okay? I'll give you a little bit of a sneak peek. So September is a book club month and we will have a book club pick, and this is your hint. In October, here's your hint. And November is our next book club pick. And Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about November. November is going to be a little different, but I'm so excited. And here's your hint. And December. Here's your hint. I do have a lot more things up my sleeve, and you guys should see the amount of notes and just ideas that I'm just throwing out there on my iPad. I have a lot of things in the works. So just kind of stay tuned. All right, my friends, that is it. Those are all the questions that I received, and that is everything that we're going to talk about today. Thank you so much to everyone who submitted a question for me, and thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Hopefully you know just a little bit more about me, and I just appreciate each and every one of you that continuously come back and watch my videos. Whether you make yourself known or not, I just want you to know that I so appreciate your support. And until next time, my friends, just remember this world is a better place with you in it, and I will see you in my next video. Bye, guys!